respectful of everyone's time. I am Stephanie Bension. I'm a public speaker from Houston, Texas. Thank you. So how do you get this generation to stand up and be active? I feel like in these midterms, we have seen a lot of activity, but we are so far extreme on one side of the pendulum that activity was going to happen regardless. One way that you can get millennials involved is to remember that they have feelings too. Millennials turn to social media for their information and for their action more than any other source of traditional media. They're not turning to newspapers, they're not turning to radio. Why? Does anybody know why?
Because it controls our old people.
Yes, all those answers are correct. It is access, it is controlled by older people, but they also feel like traditional media lies to them. But if they get on the internet, they get on social media, they see live feeds. There is no line when you have a live video in front of your face that you can see with your own eyes. So when they're having these conversations, they have them on social media also because the conversations are organic. If I turn to CNN, I'm going to hear one side of the news. If I turn to Fox, I'm going to hear the other side of the news. But if I'm talking to people in a community chat room, I'm going to hear every side, whether I agree with it or not, and I can participate and talk with and not just be talked at. I said, I don't try to prove anything by talking. She is a woman of action. She will always be a woman of action, which is kind of just black women or women of color in general. If you don't do it, we gonna do it. We're not going to die. We're not going to not make it. We will find a way to make it happen. So when she talks to millennials, and we talk about viral popularity that she's had, she speaks directly to us. She tells us, I am pleased to see you involved in government. She doesn't say, don't come up here with that cell phone and that lingo. She tries to adopt it. Maxine herself has even said she was a millennial. She was wrong. But what she was trying to express was that she's been a young person before and dealt with the issues we've dealt with, and she wants us to work with her and not be on the outside of the government process. Also, she has handled her newfound popularity with grace. Talking about being a millennial has been the only mistake she's made. When you're talking to millennials, don't pander to us. We don't respond to that. We can catch it a mile away. So don't come talking about, oh, I got the new iOS 7.5 and you still have a flip phone. We see you. We can see you. So she doesn't pander to us. She actively gets us involved, and she continues to be exactly who she is in talking to millennials. We know she's almost 80 years old. So she says, I love being Auntie Maxine. She doesn't say, oh, don't call me an auntie, I'm not old enough. No, she knows and she participates. So, how can you take this back to your communities, to your cities, to your millennials? There are a couple of ways to do this, especially because in my head, all older people think millennials are looking at them like this photo. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of times we are. Yeah, we definitely do that. We are looking at you with the side eye or the straight face. Do not be intimidated by that, because when we approach you, guess what? You're giving us that same face back. What does this little baby want? Do you know how many times I have gone to be involved in a government process and somebody has called me honey, sweetie, or child? Yep. Let me tell you something. Even if it's a term of endearment, it is disrespectful. Until you know that person personally, please do not undermine what they are trying to help you do, what they are coming to you to volunteer for or get information for, by right off the bat making them feel like infantilized. Watch your language, watch what you're doing, and engage with millennials. There are a couple of ways to do this. Search for ways to convince them, not control them. Don't say, you need to go to the polls on November 6th because you are the future of this generation. What you need to say is, if you don't go to the polls on November 6th, we still gonna end up with 45 in the White House. He's gonna have a cabinet right behind him that supports him. If you explain to us what's going on, then we are much more moved to action than you yelling at us, speaking at us, this is what you need to do. Secondly, and this is gonna sound simple, explain the government and how it works without being condescending. A lot of just people in general don't know how their government works. They don't know the difference between the House and the Senate. They don't know how voting works. They just aren't aware of the process. But if you explain it to millennials, they will definitely get involved. That's what you need to know. Also, everything is on video. Everything is on video. Everything is on video. What you say, how you act, how you treat us. We love glued to our hands. We love our camera phones. Use our mediums, mainly technology. So if you're going to engage with millennials, it's great to come out to our community organizations that we're a part of. It's great to come and speak to us. But if you engage with us on technology, it shows us that you care. It shows us that you want to be involved in the process. Now, I know 80-year-old Maxine Waters is probably not tweeting from her own phone, but she has someone sitting right next to her that is typing out what she says. She has done so many television interviews that she did not have to do, but she's embracing technology because she's embracing millennials. You cannot have one without the other. It's just going to keep going until we end up in the age of the Minority Report. That just is what it is. All right, so speaking of using our mediums, do you know what resist bot is? Hold up your paddles.
What is resist bot?
Well, you're so in luck. I'm actually happy that y'all don't know what this is. Resist bot is a text number, 50409. I will give you a minute to put that in your phones right now, because resist bot is a technology that allows you to register to vote from your phone. It will tell you who your government officials are. It will tell you what's going on in your community based on your zip code. It will even send you a sample ballot and help you figure out who you want to vote for. I have personally myself gotten 4 people to register to vote this month off of this text code, and they are not paying me for this. I just think it's good technology. Maxine speaks directly to millennials, and I will read this for you also because this is important. You see again what is going on. You understand who is being disadvantaged. You understand who is being undermined. And you also understand those who would intimidate you and try to dismiss you and keep you from becoming what you want to become. Trust yourselves. Do not doubt yourselves. Do what you know your mind and your heart is telling you to do. As a government official, this is what your millennials want to hear from you. And I can speak for all millennials in this moment. If they don't like it, they can tweet me. Maxine said this last year at the Glamour Magazine's Women of the Year Awards. She understands that Glamour Magazine caters to a younger generation, so she tailored her speech that way. Just like when you come to Texas, you're going to tailor your speech a little different than when you go up to New York to talk to people. Tailor it a little different based on age. These are such simple tactics that government officials are straight up missing. So the first thing is update your website. Second of all, social media presence. And I understand, because I've worked with organizations, that a lot of you are stretched thin. You feel like social media, you don't have somebody to manage that. You don't know somebody who can manage that. Yes, you do. Because when you need to get on Facebook and tell about your pumpkin pie that you baked for Thanksgiving, if you don't know how to do it, what you gonna do? Get your niece or your nephew?
Yeah.
So in your organization, find the millennial that is equivalent to your niece or your nephew and get them involved. So that's the engagement part. Empowerment. Once you engage us, once you put us on that board, don't do that to say you have a millennial on that board. Just like I don't want you to put a black woman on your board to say you have a black woman on your board. We are not there to fill your statistics or to be your number. We are there to be your partner. So find ways to listen to us. And when I say listen to us, I don't just mean have us talk and you feel like you can't share. We are there for you to share your expertise. There is so much that we don't know. And we don't know what we don't know. But if you're talking and having a conversation with us, we want to learn from you, but we also want to be listened to so that you can learn from us. Finally, knowledge. Again, knowledge is power. You're going to leave this conversation today and you're going to go find a millennial in your community. Yes. Hands up, yes. You're going to go find a millennial in your community that you can engage with, and guess what they're going to do? I'm going to take it back to the Houston Area Urban League Young Professionals, which is 300 professionals that now knows about NFBPA. I'm going to take it to ColorCon for women of color in communications that now knows about NFBPA. I'm going to take it to my friends and discuss it over my $2 mimosas at brunch. And the next meeting I go to, they're going to come with me. Please believe that if we believe in it, we are going to share it. That's not a question at all. So seek to follow Maxine's motto in 2019. Okay? We got that? All right. And instead of saying the end, I will say what Maxine always says, which is stay woke.